8:13 right now. Zombie foreclosures. No, it's not the latest video game. It's something that could be a real-life nightmare for you. And here to help make sure you avoid this growing problem is the author of Financial Fresh Start and director of the Carnegie think tank, Shari Olefson. Shari, good morning.
Good morning, John.
Thank you for being here today. Wow, sounds scary enough. Okay, what is a zombie foreclosure?
Well, foreclosures, we know, are a process.
Right.
So it begins with the homeowner receiving a notice of default, and then the bank files the lawsuit, and they go through hearings and motions, ultimately ending in the foreclosure sale of the home, and then that's how the bank gets their money back. The problem with zombie foreclosures is that the homeowner vacates during the beginning of that process, assumes the foreclosure is going to get finished, but the bank never finishes it. And by some counts, that's impacting as many as 2 million homeowners in the United States.
Holy cow. Why would the bank not finish the foreclosure process?
Well, there are a lot of reasons, but first and foremost in this environment has been money, because the only reason the bank forecloses is to get money to pay off the loan. That's all they want. And so with real estate properties going down, in many instances the bank started the foreclosure, then realized that they weren't going to get enough money and stopped. But also we have situations where there were investigations, and so the banks were actually afraid to move forward with the lawsuits because they wanted to make sure they did it right. Banks have accounting problems, so once they begin to foreclose, they have to show that maybe the home is worth less, and that impacts their own finances. And then, of course, we've all heard about the backlogs in law firms going out of business and the courts being backlogged. So there are a variety of reasons why a lot of these foreclosure cases just stalled.
Well, you said 2 million of them. That's
2
incredible.
million. And those homeowners, if you still own the home, you're still liable for the real estate taxes, code enforcement issues, all of those things.
So what can you do if you're facing this problem?
Well, the number one thing anyone who has been foreclosed and isn't sure should do is check the title to the home. And you can do that in most areas online through the public records or the real estate tax records. Find out if you own the home. If your name is still on the title, definitely contact the bank and find out what their intention is, because under that big robo-signer settlement, remember about a year ago, it was a $26 billion settlement, if banks are intending to not move forward, then they have to release the mortgage. So you may end up owning that home that you left 3 years ago free and clear. If they haven't foreclosed or they're not planning on it, then you may want to try to negotiate a short sale or a deed in lieu or move back into the home. There are all kinds of options because it's a different environment now in terms of negotiating with the bank than it was before. And that applies to anyone else who's impacted. So you may live next door to a home that's a zombie foreclosure.
So is this happening a lot in South Florida or elsewhere?
Yeah, South Florida, we know, is now at the top of the list for new foreclosures and is actually home to over 30% of the seriously delinquent foreclosures. That's foreclosures that are over 365 days old. So my guess would be, and no one really tracks this number, that South Florida probably has more than the national average of zombie foreclosures.
It's a lot of zombies walking around in our area.
Absolutely.
Don't want to come across that. All right. Thank you so much for
Sure.
joining us today. We'll see you next time.
You got it.
All right.